Hello and welcome back to my channel Modern IT Guru, and I'm your host Amit Sharma. PnP PowerShell has become more common these days, which offers more than 600 commandlets to work with various Microsoft 365 environments like SharePoint Online, Power Automate, Teams, etc. But do we know how to get it to work? Let me show you then. In this video, we will discuss what is PnP PowerShell, how you can install or update to the latest version of PnP PowerShell module, various techniques to register a new Azure AD application and grant access to the tenant. Before we proceed, let's look at a few key requirements for PnP PowerShell to ensure smooth operations. It requires PowerShell 7 or later for cross-platform compatibility, but it also supports Windows PowerShell 5.1. If you use Windows PowerShell 5.1, you need .NET Framework 4.6.1 or later. And lastly, you must install the latest PnP PowerShell module. There are certain permissions which you will require in your tenant for app registration in Entra and assigning API permissions. First one you will require is Application Administrator. This allows users to manage all aspects of app registration and enterprise application. Secondly, you need to have Privileged Role Administrator. This role has elevated permissions to manage role assignments and permission across the directory. So, what is PnP PowerShell? PnP PowerShell is a robust module for managing Microsoft 365 environments, including SharePoint Online, Microsoft Teams, etc. It includes more than 600 commandlets for task automation and administration. It is an open source solution, so there is no SLA for the open source tool support from Microsoft. So what are we waiting for? Let's look at the implementation. Let's begin with installing PowerShell 7. To install PowerShell 7 on Windows, you can use Winget. To do that, click on the Windows icon and open Run System app. In the Run System app, you need to type in the command winget space install, then the ID, that is Microsoft.PowerShell, and the source is Winget. I'll copy the command and paste it in the run command and click on OK. This will start installing the PowerShell 7 on your computer. Please note you must have admin privileges to install PowerShell version 7 on your Windows machine. So currently it's downloading the package from the GitHub repository and it will continue with the installation of Windows 7. So right now it's configuring the Windows PowerShell 7. And now we have the Windows PowerShell 7 installed on your computer. To verify, I click on the Windows icon and you will see Windows PowerShell 7 in the recently added app. Alternatively, you can click on the search icon on the bottom left hand side and search for PowerShell 7. Alternatively, you can download the MSI package from the Microsoft website and install it on your machine. More information is available on this website to install PowerShell 7 in multiple ways. Now we have PowerShell 7 installed. Let's open PowerShell 7 in administrator mode. Click on the Windows icon and look for PowerShell 7. Right-click on the application and select Run as Administrator. Alternatively, you can click on the search icon on the bottom left-hand side and search for PowerShell 7. Right-click on PowerShell 7 and Run as Administrator. So now we have the Windows PowerShell 7 opened on the computer. Let's verify, do we already have the PnP PowerShell module installed? To verify that, type in get-installed module and the name. The name of the module will be PnP PowerShell. Hit enter. So it says that no match was found for the specified search criteria. That means we do not have the PnP PowerShell module installed on our computer. To install the latest version of PnP PowerShell module, I will type in the command which is install-module, the switch name, and the name of the PowerShell module, that is PnP PowerShell, and hit enter. What it does is, it tries to reach out to the repository and will get the package and will prompt you to install the PowerShell module. So now it comes up with a warning that you are installing it from an untrusted repository. Type Y or enter A for accepting all changes to install the module and hit enter. This will start installing the PnP PowerShell module. So I think it has finished installing the PnP PowerShell module. Let's verify the version and whether the PnP PowerShell module is installed on this PC. We will run the command get -installed module -name and the name of the module, which is PnP PowerShell, and hit enter. So as you see that we have the PnP PowerShell module installed with the version 3.1.0. So as we now have the latest version of the module, but how about if you want to update it to the latest version and you have an outdated version of PnP PowerShell? To show you, I will first uninstall the PnP PowerShell module and install an old version of PnP PowerShell module and show you how you can update it to the latest version. To uninstall the PnP PowerShell module, I will type in uninstall-module and the name, which will be PnP.PowerShell, and I'll use an extra switch force. So this will forcefully uninstall the PnP PowerShell module from this computer and hit enter. To verify, I will type in get-install module -name PnP PowerShell and it returns me with no match found. To install an old version of the module, I will type in the command which is install-module and the name, which is PnP.PowerShell, and I will use an extra switch for required version and install an old version of PnP PowerShell, which is 1.10.0, and hit enter. It again brings you up with a warning that you're installing the module from an untrusted repository. Would you like to install? I will hit Y and hit enter. It will start downloading and installing the package. And now we have the PnP PowerShell module installed. To verify, I again type in the command get-install module -name PnP PowerShell and hit enter. So you see the version of PnP PowerShell is 1.10.0. So now we will update the PnP PowerShell module to the latest version. To do that, I will type in update-module and the name of the module is PnP PowerShell, and I will type in force. So what it does is it will update the version of PowerShell to the latest version of PnP PowerShell and hit enter. It will again contact the repository, will look for the latest version of PnP PowerShell and will install it on your computer. So it's installing the package now and it has finished updating the module. So let's look at the version of the PnP PowerShell again. So this time we have the latest version, which is 3.1.0 installed on your computer. So now we have met the prerequisite of having the PowerShell 7 and the PnP PowerShell module installed on the computer. So let's look at the app registration process. So why we need Entra App Registration? Entra App Registration is needed to establish trust and define access permissions between your application and the Microsoft Entra ID. This process creates an application object in your tenant and assign it a unique application ID and other essential details. There are two ways of doing a Microsoft Entra App Registration. One way is to do it using PowerShell. Another way is by logging to Microsoft Entra ID portal and create a new app registration. Let's look how we can do it in both the scenarios. So let's look at method 1 using PowerShell. In the same PowerShell 7 window, we will run the following command to register the app in Microsoft Entra ID. The command is register-pnp Azure AD app -application name and the name of the application, which will be PnP PowerShell, and the tenant where you're going to create this application, and we will use the switch as interactive and hit enter. What it will do is it will bring you up with the Microsoft login screen where it will prompt you to enter in your ID and password. I will type in my login details and click Next. It will prompt me for a password to authenticate. I will type in my password and hit Enter. Now it will bring me to the screen where it will ask me to authenticate using multi-factor authentication. I will approve the notification and it will begin with the app registration process. So it's checking if the application exists. If in case the application doesn't exist, it will create the application and register it in the tenant. So now it's waiting for 60 seconds to launch the consent flow. It will again prompt me to enter in my details. So I will enter in my ID and my password. And I will approve the authentication by typing in my number in the Authenticator app. So now it has requested for the below permissions. So you can go through the list of permissions and click on Accept. So now we have the Azure application ID created and you can see the details of the application, which is the PFX file that contains the PFX certificate. Then you have a CER file which contains the certificate. Then you have the application ID, which is unique to the application, along with certificate thumbprint and base64 encoded certificate. So you can make a note of the client ID because this will be needed in order to authenticate to SharePoint Online. And you will need the PFX certificate. So make sure that you copy the certificate and keep it in a secure location. Let's now verify if the application is created in our Entra ID. To do that, I will log into my Entra ID portal and click on Application on the left hand side and click on App Registration. Then I'll click on All Application and look for the application name, that is PnP PowerShell. So we can see the PnP PowerShell application is created. I'll click on the application. You will find similar details here like the application ID, the tenant ID and other information. If in case I go into the certificate section and click on certificates, you will see the certificate is already uploaded to this location. So now we will look at the API permission which it has granted. So it has granted the Microsoft Graph and SharePoint permission to my application. So this is how you register the application using PowerShell. Let's look at method 2, which is using the Entra ID portal. To do that, I will open a browser and go into Entra ID portal and expand Identity. Under Identity, I'll again go into Applications and click on App Registration. I'll click on New Registration and give my registration or my application a meaningful name. In my case, I will type in PnP PowerShell. As I have created an existing application with the same name, so I'll just add SP, that is for SharePoint. In the supported account type, select accounts in this organizational directory only and click on Register. So now you can see we have the PnP PowerShell application registered in a tenant. I'll copy the application ID and keep it in a secure location. Now we have the registration completed. Let's proceed with generating a certificate for certificate-based authentication, which is the most preferred and more secure way of authentication. To generate a self-signed certificate in the same PowerShell window, I will first set the location to the location where I want to extract the certificate. So to do that, I will type in set-location and the path. So now we have set the location of our PowerShell window. So when we will run the command to generate a self-signed certificate, it will download the certificate at this location. To generate the certificate, I will type in the command new-PnP Azure certificate -common name, the name of the certificate, -out PFX, that will be the name of the PnP certificate in the PFX format, and -out cert PnP cert.cer, that will be the name of the certificate file. And we will set a password to our certificate and hit Enter. So as you can see, it has generated the certificate, it has set the validity of the certificate, and it has given us the information which we require. And in case I want to verify that the certificate is extracted, I will type in dir and hit Enter. You will see I have two certificates with PnP cert.cer and PnP cert.pfx. I will copy the certificate from the location and keep it in a secure location. This will be used in order to connect later when we will run the connect command. So now we have the certificate generated. We need to upload this certificate on the app registered. So I'll go back to my Microsoft Entra ID portal. Under application, click on app registration and select the application which we have created. I will navigate into certificate section and click on certificate. As of now, you can see there is no certificate added to the application. So I'll click on upload certificate. Where it asks me to upload the certificate, I'll select the file. I'll go to the location where my certificate is present and select the .cer file and click on open. If in case you want, you can give a description and click on add. So now we have successfully added the certificate onto the app registered. The next step is to assign API permission because we registered this app using the Entra ID portal. So if you will go into the API permission, all you will see that it has assigned a Microsoft Graph permission for user.read. And in order for us to connect to SharePoint Online, we need to provide different API permission. So the first thing is I will clear all the default permissions which are there. Now I will click on add a permission and select Microsoft Graph. In Microsoft Graph, I'll click on delegate permission. And in select permission, I will type in sites. Expand sites and I'll give full control to the application and add permission. I will repeat the process for Microsoft Graph and this time I will choose application permissions. I'll type in the type of permission which is sites, expand sites and select site full control and add permissions. Then I will repeat the process for the SharePoint as well. So I click on add permission and look for SharePoint application. Then click on delegate permissions and in select a permission, I will type sites. Expand all sites and select full control. I will repeat the process for application as well. I'll click on SharePoint again, click on application permissions and select site full control, add permission. So these are the list of permissions which we will need to access all the SharePoint sites within our tenant using this application ID. So once you have added all the permission, you need to grant admin consent for this application. To do that, I'll click on grant admin consent and click yes. This will grant permissions to the application and now we are set with all the API permissions. So just for your information, API permissions define what an application can access within a system, such as Microsoft Entra ID or Microsoft Graph. These permissions are crucial for controlling access to resources securely. So be very careful when selecting permissions because if in case it goes into the wrong hand, they can do whatever they want. So now we are all set up with PnP PowerShell. So let's connect to SharePoint site using PnP PowerShell. In order to do that, I will type in the command which is Connect-PnPOnline space -ClientId. The client ID will be the application ID, which you can get it from the registered application. Then you need to specify the certificate path where you have stored your certificate. In my case, I have placed the certificate at this location. And then you need to specify the certificate password. The certificate password you have to convert to secure string as plain text and type in the password. And then you have to specify the URL of the SharePoint site you would like to connect to and in which tenant you would like this to happen. So once you have entered in this command, hit enter. So we have not received any error messages. To verify whether we have successfully connected to the SharePoint site, I will type in get-PnP site and hit enter. So see, you have successfully connected to the SharePoint site. With this, I conclude this video. We have learned about PnP PowerShell, how to install and update PnP PowerShell module, and how you can register an app using certificate-based authentication and assign API permission, along with how to connect to the SharePoint site. So thank you very much for watching this video. For more informative videos, stay connected and like and subscribe to my channel. Thank you.